And when we integrate, we need to keep all these factors in place. And we want to make sure that we're integrating in a way that the customer can have the flexibility, multi-vendor, for instance. Some customers wants to be able to choose multi-vendor and want those multi-vendors to be integrated. Nobody wants to do manual work anymore. Nobody wants to cut and paste, put it into an email, send it to a vendor. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is another benefit of integrating and elevating language management, so translation, localization, creation, etc. But there is another benefit of integrating and elevating these activities in content and product supply chains is for internal teams or for suppliers is to understand how an organization is connecting the dots between the human capital, the business processes, and the tech ecosystems. I think this is a sort of the winning trio for any business, globally or locally. By the way, it's not just for global organizations, to actually say and prove that they can connect the human, the tech, and the process dots to make everything work. And that's part of the chain. I'm using the supply chain all the time, or chain, value chain or supply chain. I'm using these words all the time because that's something that any business has. The smallest company in the world has a supply chain for a product, for content, and the biggest one as well. So there is something, the foundation, the first layer of the foundation of any business is really the supply chain, which is for me the same as the value chain. Both supply chains and value chains must be synchronized.
Well, they contribute to creating value chains, right? If you have the wrong supplier removal.
So, there is sometimes, I remember this year I met someone who said to me, "Oh, but Bruno, you are using some operational jargon," but when I was saying supply chain. And I said, "Why?" Oh, and that person said to me, "It's because supply chains for me is when you are producing cars. There is a supply chain where there is someone, checking the engine, checking the wheel, etc." And I said, "Well, supply chain is not, well, of course, it's an operational concept, but if there is no supply chain, just tell me where's the value chain. Tell me." And that person couldn't say anything. So I said, no, supply chains, value chains are not just operational. It's to be considered by everyone, from IT to marketing, from marketing to product management. But I think that for language management and for the audience that we have today, I'm sure many people are, sort of facing this challenge of, proving and maintaining their value in their business, is actually, to be part of, or to lean into the business processes so that they can prove their value and they can prove that they are more than just a cost center. There are, even worse than cost center, a cost driver. That's what I heard this year many times, that language services people or language services suppliers were considered as cost drivers by procurement teams, which is terrible. So it has to be accepted and it has to be understood. Understood is easier than accepted, but it has to be clear that, language management, services, tech, altogether is part of supply chains and value chains. If they're not, I have big concerns for the people who are in that situation.